Good evening, friends. I just took a little bit of a time out to come down to the bay, take a couple of deep breaths, and record this rant or whatever this is going to be. I can't really do this in the comfort of my home at the moment because I have moved in with my son and we don't have as much personal space as we once had. And we kind of need to block out time to work in our respective studios because it's difficult for one of us to record when the other one, we can't both record at the same time. And we can't both, well, it's just difficult. So I snuck out to make a video because today and this is going to be a long video, but it's going to be made up of things that I can hopefully edit out, splice out, and use in different capacities, because today I had a couple of epiphanies and I am feeling strangely confident right now, like weirdly and wildly confident, which is great, but also possibly dangerous. So that's why I'm making a recording instead of going live. Also because I have no idea how much or what all I'm going to say. Hopefully the audio is reasonable. Not used to doing this way. So, didn't bother putting on makeup. Don't know how much of this is going to be used. Don't know if we're going to use audio, video, or whatever. But here we go. So today, I had an opportunity. And now look, I am a confident, strong woman. And I'm very secure in my abilities and in a lot of my abilities, I guess, and features and whatever. So let's start with that. But I am not immune to a feeling of being judged or a feeling of needing to meet someone else's expectations. Not a huge fan of that, but we all do it. And I do it still. Even though I know better, I totally know better, and I still do it. And so today I was met with another challenge, another opportunity, I guess, to explore that. And in a particular situation, I felt a prompt to do something, which I did. And I'm really glad I followed the prompt. At first, I wasn't so glad, but now I'm glad. So followed the prompt, the urge to do something different in my daily routine, and experienced a little bit of judgment from an outside source. First of all, I allowed that to happen. And it was my perception, not necessarily that of the other person, not necessarily the perception of the other person. I may have just been reading it all wrong. However, it is interesting to me how quickly we judge ourselves and how quickly we give our power away to other people or to our perceptions of other people. So we might have the feeling that we're being judged or that something is not going right with a relationship or with a friendship or with a colleague or with a client or something like that. And we allow that to steal some of our power. And we shrink away a little bit from an opportunity to be great or to do something great or to just freaking exist without feeling less than or judged or whatever. And so here I was doing that exact thing, winning. And I felt myself shrink a little bit in a situation that I had no business shrinking in. I should not give a rat's patoot about this whole situation. Like, I am who I am, and I am quite fabulous, to be fair, and I don't need to shrink or dull my shine or anything like that to accommodate what I think other people feel or should not feel or whatever. It's so dumb, and this is real wordy, so I'm hoping I have the ability to chop it up and make it make sense. There is nothing wrong with me exactly the way I am. I may be excitable at times. I may be a little bit energetic in moments that socially might be better a little bit more muted. But I can also do the opposite. I can also be really quiet in a crowd and let people just talk all over the place and not feel the need to talk over them. I don't usually do that. However, last night I was a little bit exuberant in a situation that I could have been a little more reserved in, and I judged myself for that. And I thought, you're such a weirdo. You know, I am a weirdo, and that's okay, because part of what makes me who I am is my unique approach to things and to situations, and I'm different. I know I'm different. I understand that because of all the people I interact with and talk to on a regular basis, and I am just different, and that's okay. I want to encourage you to allow yourself to be different and to not feel hesitation because of it, to feel like you're socially crossing any boundaries or like we're not supposed to fit in. It's our nature to want to fit in, but if we were all supposed to fit in, we'd all be pretty boring. We'd all be pretty predictable, and that would be boring. And I love that my reactions to situations are not always predictable, and they're not boring necessarily. So, I accidentally ingested a great deal of caffeine this morning. I haven't had any caffeine since 2020, and it's 2024. And this morning, I think it's my fault. I'm pretty sure it's my fault. I think I failed to order decaf when I ordered my coffee. And I sucked down about 3/4 of it before I realized I was about to go on a ride. And so I have been buzzing a little bit and I felt very uncomfortable at first, very jittery and very uncomfortable. And it did not feel like a good thing. And it still doesn't feel like a good thing physically. But it did sort of make me think about some things maybe. And I don't know if I would have had these same thoughts in the absence of the caffeine, but it's possible. Anyway, going forward, I had this interaction that made me feel a little weird. And I was trying to ascertain why it made me feel weird. And was it me? Was it the other person? Was it a combination of things? Was it that I was drinking caffeine and didn't know it? Or, any combination of all of the above. And I started to feel like I really wish I had not done this specific thing today that I chose to do. And I felt a little insecure. And that's not allowed. I mean, a teeny tiny bit every once in a while for humility's sake, but feeling insecure is my choice. It's my decision, and I get to choose for myself how I feel, right? And in this particular situation, insecurity is not warranted. If somebody does not love me or like me because of whatever behavior, whatever, something, and I'm not talking about anything crazy. It's mild, very subtle things. Then that person does not belong in my life. I don't need to give them credence, and I don't need to give them my time and my energy and my effort if they are not showing up with similar energy and accepting me and loving me as I am. I'm not saying everybody has to love me. They don't. I'm just saying in order for them to receive the benefit of my energy, they need to show up similarly, or at least reciprocate, right? So if you get around me and you act weird, that makes me uncomfortable, and I don't want to be around a person who makes me feel uncomfortable or weird in social situations. So I decided when I was finished to pack up and go home. And as I was walking home, I just had this like epiphany, and I thought, well, I don't need to feel this way. I don't need to feel this way at all, because this is not serving me, and it's certainly not serving anyone else. I have been through so much in my life. It's shocking the amount of things I have had to suffer through in my life, and how I have survived it. It's a wonder. I'll say that, because I came really, really close to not surviving it on multiple occasions. And if you've ever had suicidal thoughts or been, really depressed, then you know what I'm talking about. You get to that really, really low place where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to feel this anymore. And you get to a place where you just don't think you can do it for another minute. And then you have to talk yourself into doing it for another minute, just so you can feel good enough to not do something stupid. So, and I'm not calling people who commit suicide stupid. I think the act of committing suicide is that's a whole other topic, isn't it? It's just, for me, it would be stupid. I am far too valuable to do that. But I have been convinced at certain low times in my life that wasn't the case. It's crazy. So, going through some really tough stuff, like I had mystery illnesses that tried to kill me, COVID multiple times that tried to kill me and actually killed my husband. And the grief that followed that. I don't know how this stuff didn't take me out, but it didn't. And I would say, therefore, but the grace of God, but I'm not even sure that's true, because I don't think God would have not extended his grace to my husband. So it is difficult for me to reconcile that in my brain of anybody being worthy or less worthy or more worthy or any whatever of grace, and that having so much to do with the outcome of a situation. God's will, maybe. His grace, I don't think so, because I don't think God extended me grace and did not extend grace to my husband. Maybe in his understanding, but certainly not in mine. And that's okay. I don't have to understand everything. I'm not in charge of the world. I found that out many times, and sometimes the very hardest of ways. Obviously, if I was in charge of the world, things would be very different. And as many times as I have questioned my existence, questioned what happened to my husband, questioned all these things that happen in life that seem so unjust, and God just keeps asking me if I'm checking his sovereignty, when I would say, if only, and what if, and just Monday morning quarterbacking the whole situation to try to understand it and what could have been done differently. And it was not up to me. There really isn't anything I could have done to change the outcome, because I'm not in charge of the universe. I'm not the person who makes all these decisions, and I'm not the person who doles out miracles. It was so confusing, that whole thing. Anyhow, somehow I survived. Somehow I'm still here, and I'm still part of the people walking around living on the earth. And one of the things that came up for me earlier is just the magic of that. And the majesty of it. Just the things that we take for granted every single day that are just magical, like our bodies and our ability to do simple, mundane things like take out the trash. Being alone in the world is so much harder than I gave it credit for in this circumstance, in this situation. And having to do everything by yourself, I mean, it has advantages and disadvantages, but sometimes it's just hard. And you just want somebody to help you with some things. And I know for me, I have had to find ways to be grateful for the things that I don't appreciate in the moment, like taking out the trash. Taking out the trash is not that big of a deal, but sometimes you get tired of having to do everything by yourself, and that's one of the things that comes up, and you're like, every once in a while I would like somebody else to just handle things and me not have to do everything by myself. But the truth of the matter is, I should be, not going to say should, I can be so grateful for that, and so grateful for that ability. And in the moment, I really can reframe that and have a completely different experience of taking out the trash than feeling sorry for myself. I can be grateful for my ability to do that. I can be grateful that I have these magical working systems in my body, to have 2 arms and 10 fingers and all this stuff that works exactly the way I command it to. So if I want to tie up a trash bag and carry it using my own 2 legs and my arms, operating doors and levers and whatever it is I need to do to dispose of a bag of trash, I can kind of revel in the majesty of the ability to do that. And it sounds cliche, it sounds weird, I know, but it's also, if you think about it, it is kind of awesome. It is kind of awesome to be able to do some of these things. And I can say that from a perspective and a frame of reference of knowing what it feels like to not be able to do those things. So, for example, I broke both my arms years ago in a hoverboard accident. And I could not do the simple things. I couldn't open a bottle of water. I couldn't take out the trash. I couldn't bathe myself. I had to have help. And from the perspective of having that level of inability, it was humbling, but it was also very informative. It taught me a lot. And now when I take out the garbage, I can focus on the fact that I can take out the garbage, and that it's something that, while it's a simple task, I shouldn't take for granted or not appreciate the fact that I'm able to do that, because I know what it's feel like to not be able to do that for myself. Similarly, I can just take great, if I'm just having a bad time and I want to look for things to be grateful for, breathing is something to be grateful for. When you're just able to take a whole full breath and fill your lungs fill with air, and just that, there are people all over this planet who would just give their right arm literally for that ability. People who don't have that ability. And if you go into any hospital in any part of this country, probably all over the world, you will encounter people who would just love to breathe. They would love to not have to be on oxygen, or not have to be on a respirator or a ventilator, or just, have the ability to just go, oh, and just have fresh air, breath of air. I take that for granted frequently, and I know many of us do, because you don't think about it throughout your day. That's just one of the things that happens naturally. Your subconscious mind handles all of that. You don't even have to think about it. Occasionally you can think about it and be intentional, which is helpful for breathing techniques and breathing exercises. But how wondrous is it that when you breathe in, you have no problems processing air and oxygen, and your lungs just work exactly the way they were meant to work. What a blessing. what a blessing. What a fabulous design, and what a wondrous thing it is to be able to do that. It's beautiful. I'm so happy and grateful that my mind and body are so strong and healthy. My body has recovered from serious mayhem over the past few years. And my body is not exactly what I want it to be, but that's also okay. Because I was thinking about this earlier too. There are things about each of us that we judge ourselves for, and that we're like, oh, I wish I had, leaner muscle or less fat or whatever. Oh, I wish I looked better in a bathing suit. I wish I could go skiing without hurting myself. It's another story. I can judge myself for not being the most physically fit person or the most athletic or agile, but that's dumb. Can I be better? Yeah. Do I want to be better? Sure. Do I want to be healthier? Yes. Everybody does. But also, it's okay to be exactly how we are, and to just make small improvements here and there that work for us. There was a lady, like 40-year-old lady, I forget where I saw this, and she had advanced lung cancer. She was dying, and she didn't have much time left. And she said, I don't want to sound cliche, but eat the cake. Eat the cake and live your life, and don't worry about the dimples on your thighs. And when you are faced with your mortality and understand the value of the moments that you miss when you are worried about the dimples on your thighs. Okay, this is probably specifically for the ladies, but there are things that apply to men too. And men are much better at this when it comes to body image. They don't care as much, but some do. Anyway, it does sound a little cliche, but also if you've been faced with your own mortality, then you give those things a lot less value, and you're more in touch with the real value of life and what's important. And what's important are the experiences that you have, and the people that you love, and the people who love you, and not whether or not you look good in a bikini at 54. It's okay to be 54. It's okay to not look 25 when you're 54. For real. And I don't know where we get, well, I know some of where we get it, but I don't know why we believe that. I don't know why we believe that we need to look 25 when we're 54. That's just silly. That's just silly. And if I was the pinnacle of existence in every area of my life, and I felt like I had met all these optimal states of being, physically, emotionally, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If I thought I looked great in a bathing suit, and I was strong and fit, I was a bikini model, whatever, and I was just the pinnacle of everything in every area of my life, don't you know I'd be hard to live with? Don't you know that any person who thinks that they themselves are the pinnacle of everything in every area of their life, lacking humility, that would be a hard person to spend time with and be around. It's okay to be super confident and also have some humility. It's okay to feel really good about who you are and where you are, and be working towards the version of you that you would appreciate more. But it's also okay to be exactly the way you are. And I met a coach recently. I absolutely adore her. She is fearless. And the clothes she wears are societally not what most people would choose. But I really love her confidence, and I really love her fearlessness around that. And I don't remember her name right now, but I have downloaded some of her stuff. But Kathleen something. Anyway, absolutely love it. Yeah, I'm not set up in my studio, so I'm trying to do all this the old-fashioned way here, holding this freaking camera. Looking like a nut. But who cares? Not me. Oh, and maybe it just gives other people something to talk about, and that makes them feel better about themselves. So, hey, I'm happy to provide that if that's what they need. So, it's been an interesting morning. I've had some really interesting experiences, and I'm so happy to have had these experiences, even though they were uncomfortable for a few minutes, just so that I can recognize and say how grateful I am to be me and to be independent and to be confident and happy and okay in my own skin and not feel like I have to, or that I am willing to give my power away to other people. And that was the thing I think was really resonating with me was that when I was shrinking back and I was having those questions and feeling that weirdness, I was giving my power away. I was giving my power away, not to another person, but just to my perception of what the other person was experiencing or thinking. I was taking my own power away. Isn't that interesting? And I get to choose to not do that. And I get to choose to love me wholly as I am, accept me exactly as I am, and to let other people love or hate me or somewhere in between exactly as I am. I'm totally okay with it. I used to not be okay with it. I used to want everybody to like me. And I think most of us are that way at some point in our lives. But I'm so over that. And it's not just because I'm older, it's because I'm wiser. You can be this wise in your 20s. You could be this wise at any age of your life. But it's just like the more we experience, the more we understand that most of what we are perceiving isn't even true about what other people are thinking. And it's definitely, it shouldn't matter anyway. We don't have to care what they think. I don't need to care what they think. You don't need to care what they think. Just like living. I live in this great place. I love this place. And someone recently, almost in a very pointed way, asked me, so when are you going to move out of Beverly Hills? Now, I don't live in Beverly Hills. I live in Fairhope, Alabama. And it's a lovely little town. And it's not more expensive than any major metropolitan area in the South. In fact, it's probably less. It's more of a small town kind of a thing. And it's beautiful here, right next to the water. Wonderful amenities and arts and places, just really cool things to do, all within reach of here. Only a couple hours from New Orleans. There's lots of cool things to do there. But why would I move away from here? Why would I move away from here when my soul brought me here to heal and allowed me to heal from some of the most horrific things I've ever experienced in my life? Because I felt like I healed here. Not everything, but a lot. And I still have some more to do, but I can't imagine going back to a place where I did not experience healing, or to a place that feels or just doesn't feel in alignment with my needs and desires and wants. Golly, why would I do that? Why would I do that? Not gonna do that. And I think if you're living in a place that feels oppressive to you, or if you need to start over or whatever, stop wondering whether or not you should do something different. Move. Pack up your things. do whatever you need to do financially, get a job, whatever, in that other location. Start applying for jobs in the city you want to live in. See what happens. Or if you're free to roam about because you're independently able to make money remotely or whatever, why not live in a place that you love? Why not live in a place that has access to whatever it is that is important to you? Is it big city? Is it mountains? Is it beach? What is it? What is it for you that you really want to be close to or have access to? Is it certain people? Certain types of experiences? Whatever that is, why not do that? You only get this one life. There was a quote a while back. I kind of loved it, but there were parts of it that I didn't love. And it was like, we get one life. So why aren't we running like we're on fire toward our wildest dreams? So why aren't we running like we're on fire toward our wildest dreams? I love the concept of that. I don't like the on fire part because it just doesn't feel good to me. But I love, why aren't we just running toward our wildest dreams? Why are we in these pigeonhole places of our lives where we are just not shining, not living? You know, you can work a regular job and still have a life. You can run a business and still have a life. You can create balance in any area. And so if when you clock out, you want to be able to go out in your boat or go skiing or go to a really incredibly nice meal or whatever it is, go out in the water, go to the beach. If those are the things that you want to be able to do with your recreational time, make sure you have easy access to those things rather than spending your time living in some place that does not serve you or create joy for you or allow joy for you. It's just, I stayed in the same place for so long, and it wasn't until I was really prompted that I actually made a move, and I'm so grateful that I did because it's been so good and so healing for me. And there's probably another move in my future, not far away, because there are other things that I would like to be able to experience every single day, or on at least a regular basis without having to travel too far. And those things that are the nearest and dearest to my heart, that I love the most, that I get the most enjoyment from, I want access to those things. And it's silly to consider not allowing those things based on, well, just I have the ability to do it. And you have the ability to do it. You can go anywhere you want to go. You can live anywhere you want to live. Do what you want to do. I have a friend who moved to, it's an island. It's not Turks and Caicos. It's, I forget now. Gosh, she would be laughing at me. She just decided to live a completely different life from what she was living. And she makes less money, but has a better lifestyle. And she works on a boat. I forget exactly what she does, but she loves being on the water. And I don't know if she's a tour guide or like a dolphin cruise person. I forget what it is. It's probably not that. Gosh, I wish I could remember. Anyway, it'll come back to me. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time. But she's like, yeah, I make less money than I did living in the United States, and I live in a smaller house, but she's like free and can do what she wants. And what she does for a living is actually incorporating some of what she loves, which is being on the water. And so she lives a way better life living in a small cottage, working as a boat captain or whatever it is that she does, than she did here, 6 figures in corporate life. And we all have the option of doing those kind of things. We all have the option of being in a place we want to be all the time. How often do you go on vacation and think, man, this place is, I would love to live here. There are people who live there. The people who change your sheets live there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you necessarily want to be a housekeeper, but I'm just saying those people actually live there. And they have access to all that stuff on a regular basis. Just like you wish you could. They just made a different decision about where to live geographically. And so can you. And why wouldn't you? Why not go to a place you've never been and just see what that's like, and then think about what it would be like to live there? Or go back to a place that you've been before that you really loved and think about what it would be like to live there. Look around, because there's people who live there who don't have big cushy jobs and they're not, best-selling authors and screenwriters and producers and directors and whatever. They're just regular folks. They make your tacos. They serve your meals. You can go to a Chipotle and see half a dozen people who live in this little community or this wonderful community. And they're doing it. Why couldn't you? Why can't you search jobs in that area, or opportunities, or transport your business, or make change? You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. I think I covered most of the things, and I'm encouraged. I'm so capable. I am so capable. And I question myself far too much. And I allow doubt, and I allow fear. I have allowed imposter syndrome. I've allowed a lot of things. But what is unmistakably true is that I'm very capable. And that every time I get around strangers, I am usually made aware of that with one conversation. And people are like, oh, you're such a good talker. Oh, you're such a good coach, or you're such a good encourager, or you're such a good blah, 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 blah. I get tons of feedback like that from random people in random situations and conversations. Obviously, that's something that God gave me, some gift in that department. Some people are really good athletes. I'm not. Some people are, great at bookkeeping. Some people are great at numbers. Some people are great at art. Some people are great at English and language and whatever. And I seem to be good at encouraging people. I would like to be better at encouraging myself. And I think that's where imposter syndrome comes in, because when you judge yourself and you feel like you're not being all you could be, and it's just bullshit. It's really just bullshit. It's just mindset. And I know that. And I know how to fix that. I think I know how to fix that. I fix it for a lot of people, but I don't fix it for myself. So I'm going to play with that for a little while, and I'll let you know what happens. I got to go pet this dog.